to no good. I wish I could tell you a decade later that it's changed, that we are now having better outcomes, that young Black men should not be afraid to walk the street anywhere in the city of Portland.
Thanks.
But unfortunately, I cannot tell you that. That would not be true. What I can tell you is that I work daily to make sure that justice doesn't mean just us, but justice is more than a code, but it's a reality. We have a lot of work to do to get to a society that's just and fair for all of us. But I am proud to be partners with all of you in continuing to move this work forward. We are in the middle of a pandemic that the world has never seen before. But what gives me optimism is knowing that in crisis comes opportunity. In dark days, our light comes. And so we are in a dark day today, but I am committed to building a more just community on the other side of this pandemic. And justice for Keaton Otis, justice for Fred Bryant, justice for the many, many, many other community members who've lost their lives at the hands of the police. We will rebuild a system that is more fair, more just, and more equitable, because guess what? I have no interest in rebuilding an inequitable system. And I know none of you do either. And so we're going to have a hard couple of years getting out of the economic devastation that this pandemic has caused. But I need each of you to think about what are the justice opportunities that this crisis presents, and what are the policies that we will be able to move forward that for the first time will live up to the dream that justice should be equal for everyone. We have work to do. I salute 10 years of advocacy, 10 years of justice, 10 years of community members saying, no, we will not accept this as the norm. This cannot be our normal. Thank you very much for inviting me. I am in the midst of budget conversations tonight, but I had to come. I had to be a part of the 10-year anniversary. I look forward to the opportunity that we will have to come together again and work cooperatively and meet together on the corner or 6th and Halsey and actually be able to be in community. It may be a while before we do that, but I'm loving this virtual community space that we've created. And so thank you all. And keep showing up, keep making your voice heard, and keep saying his name, Keaton Otis and Fred Bryant and all the other ones lost too soon, unnecessarily. Love you all. Have a great night. Back to the city budget. Bye.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Hardesty. That was so powerful and beautiful. I was over here, I have to mute my mic and my video, but I'm like, yes. So
I appreciate you so much just letting me be able to come in when I could. I would be here the whole time. Got to do it all, but this is still near and dear to my heart, as are you. Love you all.
Yes.
Have a good night. I'll watch the rest later tonight.
Take care. Yes. So powerful. This is why Joanne is one of my heroes. Every time she speaks, she just links so many things together. So importantly, and really just rooting in that leadership that Fred gave us and continues to give us. His leadership, his commitment, his heart was so strong and so big that it has carried us forward for years, and we're going strong. I really appreciate Commissioner Hardesty's bringing in the current situation with coronavirus, with COVID-19, This is incredibly important. Obviously, this is why we are engaging in this way online. And it's important to recognize that crisis often breeds even more structural inequality and oppression, because the weight of crisis rests on those who are already marginalized and disenfranchised. And so there are so many connections with Keaton's case and what's going on now. And I just wanted to speak to that just briefly before we move forward with the program. Many folks have witnessed the horrific video, the sickening lynching of Ahmaud Arbery, who was out jogging and was murdered by two white vigilantes. And folks were outraged by the leaked video. It took months to arrest these men because the prosecutor didn't feel it was necessary, even having seen that video. It was public outcry that has forced any forward movement around this case. I think that's incredibly important to recognize. You cannot look for justice from an unjust system. We must pry justice out of this system. And we do that through collective mass action. Joe Bean Keller earlier mentioned the murder of Brianna Taylor in Louisville, Kentucky, who was a Black woman, who was a decorated EMT. She was in her home in the middle of the night sleeping. Police broke in to the wrong house, supposedly looking for someone who was actually already in police custody, and they murdered her in her bed. It's important to note these cases are horrific, and they are just the names that we know. It is important to recognize that in this country, every 28 hours on average, a Black person is murdered by police or by white vigilantes. And we don't learn all of those names. So it is incredibly important to say the names that we know while continuing to fight for everyone, and to know there are so many names that we don't know. And it's important to see this violence perpetrated by police as agents of the systemic power as part of the unequal response to coronavirus. This virus disproportionately affects Black, Latinx, and Indigenous communities. Those higher rates are not because of personal or cultural or community failings. They are because of structural racism, and that structural racism pervades every aspect of our lives. Race has always been a life or death issue in this country. And so we see that, those folks who are being infected, those folks who are dying are disproportionately folks of color. We see people who are being harassed, who are being shot at and killed for wearing masks, or for being asked to wear, or asking other people to wear masks, are Black and brown folks. That is because of the frame of criminalization around folks of color. It's the same frame that resulted in 35 out of 40 arrests in New York around social distancing being of Black people. It is the same frame that resulted in 81% of those folks who have received social distancing summons in New York being Black and brown. This country criminalizes Black and brown people, not for what we do, but for who we are. And that intimately ties in with Keaton Otis, who was targeted not for anything he did, but for who he was. He was targeted for being and looking, quote unquote, like a gangster, which is about him being a young Black person in America. So as we talk about these issues, we have to talk about the ways criminalization is playing out around this response to the virus. and to recognize that any call for increased militarization, any call for an increased criminal legal response to issues around quarantine and social distancing will make communities of color even more at risk. And we are already incredibly at risk of infection and of death from this violence, from this virus, and from this violence. So I just really appreciated, again, Commissioner Hardesty bringing that in, and I wanted to kind of clearly connect those pieces. So the next piece of the memorial will be a video by Dr. Pastor Haynes. And Dr. Haynes is the head of the Albina Ministerial Alliance Coalition for Justice and Police Reform. And he has been a tireless fighter for justice for, I think, more than 50 years. He has rooted deeply in the work of justice here in Portland. And so we are going to be playing a very short video that he recorded to share with us since he couldn't be here today.
Yes. Greetings in the spirit of freedom fighters and our past freedom fighters and the present and freedom fighters to come in the future. I want to just acknowledge this great memorial service and this memorial remembrance for Keaton Otis. He was one that impacted our community of the city of Portland, and because of the racism and the killing of him by the Portland police officers, we are in some strange times this time with the coronavirus, the pandemic, and we are faced with situations that we cannot assemble together like we often do in terms of how we need to out to social media. And so we thank you for the opportunity to share. Even in this pandemic, we still lose. A young black man was shot down viciously in the state of Georgia. In terms of running, trying to get some exercise, and the vigilante father and son and just murdered him. It's very similar to what happened to Trayvon Martin in Florida. And so this is why, even in the midst of the pandemic, we need to continue to equality and freedom. The spirit, Keaton Otis, the spirit of those men and women that they are browns, black and white, Latino, in this city of Portland, continue to cry out for justice from our government, justice from our district attorney office, justice from our state and our nation. And that spirit continue to call us to do and to be advocates for them. They cannot any longer speak for themselves, and so we have to speak them. We must go on. We must go on in spite of this coronavirus and calling for justice, demanding freedom and equality. We must go on. We cannot stop. We can't go back. But we must go on. We must go forward in order that justice be eventually. Thank you very much.
So that was a video from Dr. Pastor Haynes. And again, for folks who are joining us, this is the 10-year memorial for Keaton Otis. We encourage folks, if you haven't already, to write comments and notes of support, of love, of remembrance for Keaton and for Fred in the comments of whatever site you are watching this, and we will be gathering those and sharing those comments towards the end. So next up, we are going to be bringing Sharita Town and Donovan Smith, who are two incredible Portland-based artists and community and space makers. We have been working with them through the Justice for Keaton Otis Coalition, as well as a number of other organizations, Pacific Northwest Family Circle, Showing Up for Racial Justice, Asians for Black Lives Matter, City Repair, and Lloyd Eco District. We've all been working together for the past year to create a permanent installation to be placed at Northeast 6th and Halsey to honor Keaton and to memorialize that. So on the space where he was murdered, to make sure that folks don't walk by without knowing what happened, as well as thinking about Keaton and, rooting in his wonderful spirit and the work being done to get justice for him. So I am going to turn this over to Sharita Town and Donovan Smith, who will share more about the project and also share how you can have your voice heard and give input into this project.
Thank you, Walida, for that introduction. Hello, everybody out there on this Zoom and watching on Facebook and the YouTube. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now so I can share with you some of the design aspects that we're working on. And we'll get to talk about what's informing it and our process and all those kinds of things. And at the end, we'll be asking you for your feedback. So we've set up a hotline that you can call and leave voice messages to give us some community input on this. So let's see here. I believe that you can now see my screen. Super. So I am Sharita Town, and I'm working with Donovan Smith on this project. Give me 1 second. I apologize. I'm trying to find where I can move this. So I'm an artist, an educator, and I'm a researcher born in Salem, Oregon, and I often make work that honors Black life. And I'm working with Donovan Smith. Donovan, you're there, yeah?
Oh, sorry there. I was muted. Just was saying thank you to everybody who's a part of tonight's space and to the whole team that's helping making this installation happen. I'm a writer, artist, speaker, and event producer here in the city. Born and raised here, and a lot of times I'm doing work in a similar vein to Sharita, that's about Black folks and our history here and what the future is going to look like for us in Portland and in the greater state of Oregon.
Be announced to me.
Awesome, thank you. So do you want to talk about our process so far?
Yep. So the gears really started turning in December of last year, and some of the organizations that Walida had named off. We all met in the basement of a church in Northeast Portland and did a visioning session about what kind of elements did we want to inform a space that honored Keaton. And so the notes that you see on the screen there, those were the result of people kind of posting post-its on the wall of their immediate thoughts. And so we're using those as kind of our guiding light.
Not even in the bag. In the bag.
And so some of what came out of that, one of the most consistent themes was just kind of this idea of care and a care of parent care and I think a community-wide care. And so one of the thoughts that we had to represent that the parental relationship through both sides of him, and that general community space that's been created is adult figure rocking a child, and that represents what I've already named, but also just kind of the dreams and hopes and aspirations that come with that, and the things that got cut short as well.
And so that animation that you saw of the parent rocking the child, it's embedded in a larger design called a phenactoscope. And so you can see this kind of rotating screen right now with these birds flying. And so what it is it's one of the first animations. It's the first moving image. It's an animation on a disc. And so one of the reasons that we want to use a phenactoscope is to show that communities are not static, right? So a lot of the time, memorials for Black life can feel static, or they can feel, they can unacknowledge a living community. And so we really want to keep Keaton in living memory. And so as such, we want a living memorial that kind of creates this cycle of healing back into the space, back into the site where his life was taken. And it's also this kind of cycle that goes on and on of kind of the infinite power of family love and of Black families. And I think that the cyclical nature of the phenactoscope also kind of shows the ongoing nature of seeking justice in our communities. And so what we're asking y'all to kind of engage with right now is really just the concept of this round kind of, it almost looks like some of the mandala designs that City Repair paints in the street. And we haven't yet decided if it will be painted in the street or it will be more vertical in the space. But we're using this phenactoscope, and the outside ring is the parent rocking the child. The next ring of the memorial will be these roses blooming, kind of eternally blooming. And, think of this as kind of a stick figure sketch of the concept. The hope is that the roses really bloom like the beating of a heart, like a very passionate heart. And then there is this other element, which is the candles, the vigil, this ongoing vigil. And so we first presented this work in March, the first design, and we asked for some design review feedback at this event of Black Art Ecology of Portland. And so we had a round table, and we had these slips where folks could look at the video and read a bit and just give us some written feedback. And so now what we're asking is that folks leave a message. And we've worked with a Portland project called You Tell Phone to create this kind of art phone line for the month of May. And so if you call that number there, you will be able to leave us a message. And so I'm just going to read the message that you will hear when you call that. And so it says, "Thank you for calling the Art and Memorial phone line of Justice for Keaton Otis. We are working to create an intentional, community-led memorial that celebrates his life and the collective grievance caused by his death at the hands of Portland police in 2010. At the tone, please introduce yourself, perhaps your relationship to Keaton or to the movement of Justice for Keaton Otis, and any thoughts you have on the direction of this design. Thank you for keeping Keaton's spirit alive." And feel free to circulate this number in communities that, in the voices that you would like to kind of include, and essentially creating an archive around the way that we're thinking about this design. And so with that, I just want to finish with, we want to finish with this image of the overall design and the number, and just thanks for inviting us to think about this and how to kind of bring it into public space. Donovan, did you want to say anything else?
Yeah, just, this image that we're looking at with the rocking child, and this is Keaton with the child. I actually found that today, and that wasn't, we had created this rocking child image ahead of time, and just getting prepped for today, I was trying to find an image of Keaton to go along with this, and it was really crazy actually to come across this picture. And I don't know who that child is that he's rocking, but I don't have much more to say other than that being kind of a crazy coincidence. But thank you all again for being a part of this and continuing to spread the word.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, once the design is finalized and it's made, we will most definitely be hosting kind of a artistic approach to celebrating it with the community again. So thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much, Sharita and Donovan. Y'all are just amazing people and artists to work with, and so thankful to have y'all's vision as part of this remembrance for Keaton on so many different levels. And I'm so excited with what y'all have come up with, and I'm really excited to incorporate more community feedback. So for everyone who is watching, please do call and leave a message and share your thoughts. At the end of the program, we'll share next steps, because there are a few things we are going to be throwing at y'all, so that will definitely be part of it. And y'all can do a screenshot of it. We'll also post it on the Justice for Keaton Otis Facebook page after we are done with the memorial. So we just wanted to share that we have been learning a lot about the technology and how it all works together. So it seems that, unfortunately, the ASL interpretation is not working on Facebook. So if you need ASL interpretation, please go to the YouTube stream, and hopefully someone from our group can post that link in the Facebook in the comments, just so y'all have access to that. We are still working and figuring that out. So the next person that I would like to welcome to sharing is we're very, very glad to have her, is Alicia Bryant, who is Fred Bryant's daughter and Keaton Otis's sister. And obviously this is a very difficult day for her. So we are so honored to have her leadership and presence here. And we just want to welcome her and ask her to just share a word or two with us. So welcome, Alicia.
Thank you, Walida. I really appreciate that. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I'm currently on my way home now driving, but it is, like she said, it's very overwhelming. You would think 10 years later it would be any easier, but it's honestly not. It's no easier today than it was the day that we found out. And I was telling Walida earlier, I haven't heard my father's voice in years. So when you guys played the clip of my father, it was just like, I remember that day. I remember because me and him were sitting at the house, and it was Wednesday, and it came on the screen. And again, like he said, we heard Keaton, but we weren't sure. It was all just craziness. And then come Friday when we found out, I'd never forget how my father reacted that day. And I'll never forget how he reacted the next 3 years after that, fighting every day endlessly. Hours upon hours into the night, going through thousands of paper, transcripts, everything, just tirelessly, slowly killing himself, trying to get justice. And no amount of words can ever explain how appreciative I am of every single person who continues to this day to fight for justice and support not only my brother, but my father. Because like they said earlier multiple times, my father is also a victim of it. It doesn't get easier. It never gets easier. It just gets harder, and you get used to dealing with it. I would never wish this on anybody at all. Like I said, I don't have many words, but I just want everybody to know how much I appreciate and love them. Even if I'm not in the spotlight that much, or you don't see me much or hear from me much, or even on any of the visuals, I care and I appreciate, and I'm here with you guys. It's just extremely hard for me losing my brother and my father, and to have to kind of relive it every month is a struggle. So I do commend you guys, and I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart more than anything, and continue to keep doing this, because I'll still be here. I'm just in the shadows. Thank you, everyone, and I love you all.
Thank you so much, Alicia. That was really beautiful. And I can't imagine how hard it is. And I hope you give yourself credit for your immense strength, just carrying this every day, in addition to showing up here and sharing your experience in your words with us. And we love you like we love Keaton and like we love Fred, and we are here for you as well. So
Thank you.
Yeah, just know that. So we are going to highlight another next step that folks can take. It is a partnership with Oregon DA for the People. They will be having a phone banking in honor of Keaton to try and push DAs to bring more of a lens around justice. And so I'm going to turn it over to Maria Cahill with Pacific Northwest Family Circle to tell us a little more about that, while I put up a slide so folks can see some of the information about that.
Hey y'all, and I noticed I'm working with Open Broadcaster System, and it seems like every time we switch to the PowerPoint, we lose the screen, the feed for YouTube. So I'm just gonna go over here and get that going right now. Okay, we should be good now. Yeah, so I was listening to Fred talk about the district attorney and how insulting the district attorney was to him. And, you know, in 10 years, not a lot has changed. District attorneys all over the state of Oregon continue.
Well, Maria, you're actually cutting in and out, so we're missing big chunks of what you're saying.
Well, darn. Hold on a minute. Let's see, is that any better?
It seems to
be a little better. Okay. So in 10 years, the district, I was listening to Fred Bryant talk about how insulting the district attorney was, and how the district attorney said that Keaton had a gun when Keaton had no gun. And district attorneys all over Oregon, and really honestly all over the country, they do this. And we know this because I work directly with families who've lost loved ones to police violence, and they know that their loved ones didn't have a gun. They did this to Quantis Hayes, also known as Moose Hayes. They did this to Christopher Kalanji. They did this to Bradley Morgan, and a number of different folks. And when the police say that someone has a gun, that's pretty much the end of any sort of, it feels like it's the end of it.
You're still cutting in and out. I'm
Okay.
sorry, we're missing chunks.
Okay, so I guess it's not going to work. My bandwidth is just too low.
Yeah, we can't hear anything you're saying right now.
I guess my bandwidth is too low. Let's leave it at that.
Okay. So we got to hear a little bit of what Maria was saying, which is so important, and referencing the video for folks who watched earlier of Fred Bryant talking about how disrespectful the DA was to him as he tried to find out basic information about the murder of his son. And so the coalition that formed Oregon DA for the People is about trying to push whoever is elected to institute people's demands for real justice from the DA. So in memory of Keaton, Oregon DA for the People has organized a phone banking for tomorrow night, May 13th, 6 to 8 p.m. This is a training that will be virtual. You will be showing up for racial justice supporters. So you will not be cold calling. I know that can be very stressful. No cold calls, very warm calls. So if you are interested in participating, you can register at this link, and we will also have that information posted on our Facebook page for Justice for Keaton Otis after the end of this program. But it will be a training for phone banking, and then you will be given numbers and you will follow up with folks. So this is one way, if you are wondering how to connect, to push forward the vision that Fred had of gaining justice for his son. And he was denied again and again by the Oregon DA. So we are going to be moving now into the second video that we have of Fred speaking for the evening. Before we do that, I just want to remind folks to leave comments of love and support and care for Keaton and for Fred in the comments on Facebook or YouTube, because we are going to be reading those very shortly. So any last comments folks have, get them in now. So this is the video of Fred Bryant sharing more of his experience around this, again, from an interview done with the Arresting Power documentary.
You know, we talk a lot about God in our lives because if it wasn't for God being in my life, I'd be in prison. I just would. You took my child.
Oh my gosh. Can y'all hear that?
Took him. He was not.
We could hear it briefly.
He had
now we can't.
Nothing. You stripped him of everything. And did what you wanted with him. What is true with our system?
Okay. Somebody told me earlier how to share the computer screen, the computer sound. Oh my gosh.
Is that, in my belief, and I believe a lot of other people, is that when a crime is committed
Are you
or
still
murder
not
is
hearing
committed
it?
with the police, and they're standing in,
No, we can't hear
nobody
it.
gets to talk to the
Okay.
cops at all until they go through grand jury. Well, there's a reason for that. Because the DA gonna get their story together, they're gonna tell it the way they wanna tell it, okay? And they're gonna present it the way they want to. We don't get to do nothing. This is the big blockade, and the city will protect these officers at all costs. They've already proved that the system doesn't work. And you have a pattern of practice of doing the same things over and over and over again. You know, some people say, if something happens, don't call the police, we'll take care of it ourselves. Because they come, somebody gonna die. And that's so sad to say about the city that you live in. Keaton was the kindest young man. Keaton is a Capricorn. Capricorns are very mellow people until you push us. Okay? We're very structured, we're very rigid, we're very protective, we are providers, we are it. And Keaton would never hurt a fly. He was an artist, he did t-shirts. And just like many people, when they talk about their lost ones, Keaton was very popular. Today, even today, people notice me and they say, I went to school with Keaton. I can't believe they did that to Keaton. And, you know, Keaton was always afraid of the police because he knew. Because what they have put out there.
So maybe we should pause the video for a minute and just try and take a moment to just figure out how to move forward on that.
So you're not seeing the video?
We are not seeing the video. We're seeing you.
Oh, well.
And so,
okay.
So Sharita actually said now we're seeing it.
Okay.
So now we see the video.
Sharita is showing the video.
Okay.
But we're about 6.5, it starts at about 6.5 minutes. We watched the first 6.5 minutes earlier and then. I'll fix the YouTube stream. While Sharita gets that going. Thank you, Sharita.
Yeah, I don't know what the settings doesn't let me play it either. Actually, it's freezing. I'll try another one.
Let me give it another.
Okay.
Okay. Let me give it another try here. Let's see. And I will go back.
Okay, we can see that now.
Okay, good.
He had no rights. He had nothing. You stripped him of everything. And did what you wanted with him. What is true with our system is that, in my belief, and I believe a lot of other people, is that when a crime is committed or a murder is committed with the police, and their standing is nobody gets to talk to the cops at all until they go through grand jury. Well, there's a reason for that. Because the DA gonna get their story together, they're gonna tell it the way they want to tell it, okay? And they're gonna present it the way they want to. We don't get to do nothing. This is the big blockade, and the city will protect these officers at all costs. They've already proved that the system doesn't work. And you have a pattern of practice of doing the same things over and over and over again. You know, some people say, if something happens, don't call the police, we'll take care of it ourselves. Because they come
I'm wondering if we should just pause the video and perhaps try and see if we can do it later after the notes for Keaton, just because it is freezing a lot and it's difficult to understand. So we're going to pause the video and hopefully we'll be able to hear it at the end, which is coming up quite soon. But if not, hopefully folks can go back and listen to Fred speak in the first clip we played at the beginning of the memorial. And you can hear more from him in the documentary Arresting Power, which I recommend everyone watch. It is a powerful documentary about not just police violence, but resistance to it in Portland.
And maybe we could.
So the second to last piece we are going to do is to go through those comments that y'all have been leaving, those notes for Keaton and for Fred. And so we are going to be bringing Cheyenne with Asians for Black Lives, but this is a project that Asians for Black Lives has been holding for years for justice for Keaton Otis at the memorials. So we are just going to go through and share those. So I'm going to turn it over to Cheyenne now.
Hi there, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay. On behalf of Asians for Black Lives, thanks for being here, everyone. Okay. Dear Fred, honoring and remembering the strength of your love, your commitment to seek justice for Keaton and all those stolen from the state today and always. Dear Keaton and Fred, we honor the love and power you held and continue to hold in our community. We remember your strength and in turn commit to fight for justice with you and your legacy. Fred, the fact that you weren't even informed of your own son's death and that you had to approach the police yourself is unimaginably difficult. I honor the love and commitment you had for your son, and I hope that both of you are reunited right now. Hey Fred, it's Munge. I promise I never posted a video of you smoking. We still get together to remember your boy and try to get him some justice. You were a great man. Well done. To Keaton and Fred and all others killed by police violence, we continue to fight. We miss you. Keaton and Fred, I have no words. My heart aches for you and your loved ones. Sending you love. Fred, your activism plus love is inspiring. Dear Keaton and Fred, this vigil is a testament to your powerful leadership and the impact you have had on your community. It is an honor to be here, to remember you, and to carry on your legacy by fighting to destroy white supremacy. To Keaton and Fred and all others killed by police violence, we continue to fight. We miss you. Keaton and Fred, we missed you and wish deeply that you were still here with us. We are so humbled by your powerful stories and the love and leadership you have inspired. We remember you and we continue to fight for justice and for the safety of our Black and brown community. Dear Keaton and Fred, so much love to you both. So many hearts broken by your absence. But I promise to not give up. The justice you both were and are entitled to still lives, and that justice will come. Fred, thank you for not giving up even in the face of the greatest loss. Thank you for your courage and your love. I hope you are receiving all the rest, joy, freedom, and warmth you are entitled to on this planet somewhere else right now. Keaton, I wish I knew your name before you passed. I'm so sorry that your life in this realm were faced with such violence, hatred, evil, and persecution. You are so missed and loved. Thank you for touching so many lives. I hope you are immersed in the warmest and most comfortable love in the afterlife. Keaton and Fred, 10 years later, we still remember you, honor you, and continue to fight. Your legacies remind us that a safer, more just, and better world is not only possible, it is absolutely imperative. Rest in power, you are loved. Keaton and Fred, thank you for your presence and impact on this community and for the gift of your legacy of persistence and bravery in the face of state racial violence. I'm humbled by the love and shared power expressed in your memory. Fred, I miss your tenacity, your devotion, and your dedication not only to justice and Keaton, but to your supporters and friends. You people to love and justice for you and Keaton. Fred and Keaton, I am thinking of your lives, of your passions, of your laughter hear what it sounded like, of your love for each other and those you were loved by, of your living relatives and children. You remind me what our struggle for another world is really rooted in. We love you and miss you. Keaton and Fred, so much love and care to you. You will always be remembered. My heart is heavy with grief for you and everyone you love, and everyone who loved you. You are love.
Thank you so much for that, Cheyenne, and thank you to Asians for Black Lives for creating this space to bring folks' love for Keaton and Fred actively into this memorial. Again, it's so important to remember that folks aren't just names on hashtags. They are loved ones. They are community members. They are missing. There are holes that will always be in our communities, but they are always treasured and honored. So thank you for helping us to root in that. The last piece that we're going to do, because it does not seem like we're going to be able to play the second part of the video of Fred right now during this event, we are going to have Marilyn Keller join us again to sing. If you heard her at the beginning, you know what an amazing treat that is. And if not, you are in for a treat now. We're so thankful for Marilyn sharing her talents with us. She is a veteran singer and has performed in so many spaces. She was inducted into the Jazz Society of Oregon Hall of Fame in 2016. And just so thankful for her sharing her talents with us today.
Thanks so much, Walida. I've moved to the sanctuary of Augustana Lutheran Church here. This place has been the setting for many, many gatherings by the justice seekers, by the helpers, by the people of goodwill. And the song that I've chosen to end with was written by the great Pete Seeger. And it is called My Father's Mansion's Many Rooms. And it just speaks to the necessity of us all being seen as human beings, of us all being valued for the energy and the love and the light that we are. My father's mansion's many rooms have room for all of his children, as long as we do share his love and see that all are free, and see that all are free to grow, and see that all are free to know, and free to open or to close the door of their own room. What is a room without a door, which sometimes locks or stands ajar? What is a room without a wall, to keep out sight and sound from all? And dwellers in each room should have the right to choose their own design and color schemes to suit their own, though differing from mine. Yes, and each door has its own design
to suit the owner's state of mind, and those who want him all the same don't understand the human game. The choice is ours to share this earth with all its many joys abound, or to continue as we have and burn God's mansion down. My Father's mansion's many rooms have room for all of his children, if we do but share in his love and see that all are free. Thank you. God bless you all.
Oh my God. I know that's like everyone at home is doing the same thing. That was so beautiful. And yes, just such a beautiful, powerful way to move towards wrapping up this important event. So thank you so much, Marilyn.
You're welcome. Call on me anytime.
Thank you. So the last piece we want to do before we end this event is just to share next steps, as we talked about before. So we have some of the next steps that we've compiled together from everything we've talked about and other things. So if you feel moved and inspired by being here as I do and listening to so many dedicated, beautiful people who are giving so much for justice, and say, what can I do specifically around Keaton's case? We have some suggestions for you. So the first ask is to share the monthly vigil flyer using the hashtag Justice for Keaton Otis. And for everything that you are sharing, just using the hashtag Justice for Keaton Otis. The monthly vigil flyer is on our Facebook page, which is Justice for Keaton Otis. It is pinned at the top, so it should be the first thing that you encounter. We just ask people to share that flyer far and wide to make sure people know that we are continuing to hold the monthly vigils. Even in the midst of the virus, we will hold them online and safely, but we will continue to hold this important, beautiful Black space that Fred Bryant created. The second piece is what I shared earlier in the program, to share photos of an altar or a sign or art that you feel expresses your feelings around this memorial. So we're asking for folks to share that today and tomorrow. So if you do share that, please use the hashtag Justice for Keaton Otis. And look through that hashtag, you'll see a number of beautiful altars as well as signs that folks have created to honor Keaton today on the 10-year memorial of his murder. Please join us for the monthly vigils. They are the 12th of the month. It's an hour, 6 to 7 p.m. As I said before, it will be virtual until it is safe to be in person again, but we will hold them every month. So for the login information, because we are trying to practice security, as there have been many issues around trolling and Zoom bombing, we are not posting the information publicly. But if you are interested, you don't have to know anyone, you don't have to be in the know if you have watched this. If you want to come, we welcome new people. So you can either message through the Justice for Keaton Otis Facebook, or you can reach out directly to Maria Cahill, who has shared her email here to get the login. Again, we welcome new people. We want you there. We just want to minimize any chance of being interrupted by people who are trying to destroy what we're trying to build. So please get the information. Feel free to share it with people you know who are good folks who want to come as well. Please give feedback on the permanent art installation that Sharita and Donovan presented on. Again, you can call this number and leave a message with your thoughts. There will be a prompt that gives you some ideas about what to share, but please share that, leave your voice, leave your feedback so that we can make sure that this installation truly represents Keaton and the community and the justice that we seek. Attend the Oregon DA for the People's Phone Bank tomorrow, May 13th, 6 to 8 p.m. And this is the link to register for that. Again, you will be calling folks who have signed up on lists, who are interested, so they're not cold calls. But that is one way to honor Keaton and Fred's search for justice for his son. Share the video from this memorial on social media, again, using our hashtag. And the last is just, if you are on Facebook, I know there has been a mass exodus and it's legit, but just like Justice for Keaton Otis on Facebook to stay updated, because that is where we post events, where we post asks, where we post calls for action. So these are the next steps if you want to continue to get involved. And just a note on the monthly vigils, please come when you are able. If folks aren't able to come every month, that's completely fine. We know everyone can't make every month. Don't be afraid to come back after a few months. We welcome you being there whenever you're able to make it. So this list of asks will also be posted as an image as well as text on our Justice for Keaton Otis Facebook. So you can feel free to take a screenshot now if you like, or go to the Facebook and see these asks there. So we are at the end of the program. Thank you all so much for joining us. I just want to thank the organizations who put in so much work to make this happen. Folks in the Justice for Keaton Otis Coalition, the Pacific Northwest Family Circle, Asians for Black Lives, Showing Up for Racial Justice Portland. It would not have happened without so many different people and hands and efforts coming together. I really want to thank the folks on the committee who worked with me to put this together because, I know I'm the talking head, but I would not have been able to do any of this. It would be like a 50-page email if it was left to me. I really want to thank Andrew for ASL translation. Thank you so much. I know that this has been a long event, and thank you for staying with us and helping to make this more accessible. Thank you to all the brilliant speakers and artists who shared their words and their work today and made this an incredible memorial. I was so worried about how we would honor Fred and how we would honor Keaton at the 10-year memorial when we couldn't be in person. And this has just been phenomenal. And I'm so thankful to every single one of you for making this so special during such a difficult time. Thank you for honoring Fred and Keaton. Thank you to everyone who came live. Thank you if you're watching this later. This work continues. This space is part of our collective cry for justice. And the cry for justice for Keaton is a cry for justice for our community and for everyone who has been lost to police violence. So we will fight in their names, and we will win in their names. Thanks again to everyone, and see you June 12th on Zoom, and I will see everyone in person as soon as it is safe to do that. Thank you all so much, and take care.